This is Emily with Canix's product team, and in this video, we're going to cover how to create and manage your Canix items. Items represent the names and associated information that you'll use to identify any post-harvest cannabis inventory that you use a package tag for. This name is also utilized in different areas of Canix, like on label printing, in invoices, on manifests, etc. So you'll want to make sure you come up with a good naming convention that's clear throughout all of these areas. Items can be created in 3 ways: individually from facility data items, which we'll cover today, in bulk using the facility data uploader, or as you're doing packaging actions like creating new packages, if you don't see the item you're looking for, you'll be able to create new items through that workflow as well. First, we'll navigate to facility data items under the admin section to see a list of all of our active items. And these are all items that we can create new packages of, as well as some information up here at the top, which we'll use as we create new items. The first one that we'll start with is subtypes, and this allows us to create a more granular type than the default list that we have available to us as our item types. For example, I might want to differentiate my 1 gram pre-roll from my half gram pre-rolls. So even though my packages have a generic item type of pre-roll, I want my reporting to also be a little bit more specific, or as I filter for what inventory is available to sell, be a little more specific as to what ones I have. Another option might be something like A-buds. In that case, I can add that to any flower item, and my default units are going to be grams. Anytime I'm looking at my A-buds items, I might want to have them default to my grams view. However, I can create packages of any type, pounds, kilograms, whatever, and we'll convert them between the different units. Now that I have a couple to start from, I'll go ahead and use those as I create new items in just a second. The next option are my brands. I might create brands for different packaged items within my own facility if I'm producing multiple brands in-house, or I might have different brands here based on me producing for third-party manufacturers. I'll go ahead and create brand and create that to have that show up on the table. Lastly are my inactive items, and these are a list of any items that I've deactivated from my active items list, meaning I no longer plan to produce those items, but they might still be on packages, or I might still want to see them on for reporting purposes. So I move them to my inactive list, and therefore I only will be able to create new packages of these active items. Now to go ahead and get started, we'll select Actions, Create Item, which allows us to enter our name here. And we're going to start out with one of our first items out of post-harvest. For example, I'm going to start with bulk flour. And the reason for this is you want to create an item that represents each step post-harvest that you have weights available for. Some examples might be going from bulk flour to items like A-buds, B-buds, and trim, then to finished packaged items like eighths or pre-rolls. That way you can track any waste or yields as you go throughout these different steps, and also have very detailed information as to where your inventory is in your process. For my bulk flour, as I've selected my flour item type, the only weight units I have available to me are weight-based items. And the weight unit I've set here is going to be the default unit that I see when I create new packages or when I'm selling this item on sales orders, but I can always choose a different weight unit at the time that I'm actually creating those. And we'll convert from grams or pounds or any other of those weight types as we go throughout the product. Additionally, since I selected flour, I do also have to select my strain, and I can select that here. As you're creating new items, you want to have a good naming convention. Bulk flour, it doesn't quite represent what type of flour I'm creating or the strain that's coming from it. So this doesn't quite help me as I go from one item type to the next. It's better to have the product name and the strain and any other information that you want to have clearly shown in the different search options in Canix, directly in the name itself. Other options that we talked about, things like A-buds, would follow a similar format. Or as you get into finished goods, you might be more specific about the type of product and even the size, like the package. For these types of products, we will select different item types, and this one in itself is a count-based item, so my weight units available to me now will only be each. The next step is setting the unit details. For count-based items, you select what the one each represents. So for every each of my package that I'm creating, every pre-roll I have represents 1 gram. In this particular case, I'm creating a 20 pack, so that means 21 gram pre-rolls. So every time I create one each, that represents 21 gram pre-rolls, which means my individual unit weight is 20 grams. That's how much cannabis is represented in my 20 pack package. Now, if every time I'm selling these packs, I sell them in cases, and every case is 25 units, I can also set my case. And what this means is one case equals 25 each, whereas one each represents 21 gram pre-rolls. That equates to 500 grams, as we see here, or 500 pre-rolls if we were to take it to the count level. Additionally, you also have subtypes available. So since I had selected my pre-roll item, I had set a subtype previously of what types I wanted to associate with pre-rolls. In this case, I only created one subtype, but if I created others, I might have a half gram pre-roll listed, 20 pack pre-rolls listed, whatever I wanted to specify as my more granular item type that's set by the system. Additionally, I can set my strain. If I don't see the strain I'm looking for, I can create a new strain from here. It's also important to set the accounting inventory type, which is helpful for financial teams or accounting teams to be able to indicate what the cost and the inventory levels are per inventory type, meaning I can see all of my finished goods items, or I can sell only from my finished goods items based on the accounting inventory type set. If this was produced on behalf of a brand or for a specific brand in my facility, I can see my list of brands there. Or if this is the first time I'm creating an item for my brand, I can create my new brand here at the same time. The item SKU will also be visible in the packages table. And that helps align across all of the inventory that you're creating for reporting purposes if you wanted to see everything of that SKU, for example. And also, depending on your state, you'll have different options required versus optional, but all of these can be set for informational purposes, and those will all be available to you in reporting. Lastly, as you go to create these items, you can create them across multiple facilities. I would create my item in each of the 3 facilities I've selected, but this will create a unique item in each facility, even though they have the same name. So said again, just to make it extra clear, creating this item in multiple facilities will create the item with all of the same information I've set here initially, but this creates unique items in each facility. They are not shared across the facility. Any future edits I want to do to this item needs to be done in each facility individually. Before I move on to creating this item, I'm going to go through the other tabs available here. You can specify the bill of material that this new item should be associated to. You'll select the list from the list of bill of materials that you have in your facility already to associate this item to that bill of material. Though you'll only see BOMs that have count-based items when I'm creating a count-based item, or BOMs that have weight-based items associated with them if I'm creating a weight-based item. That's because you can't have mixed units, count-based and weight-based, on the same bill of material. In this case, I'm going to just select a random bill of material. You'll see that this will specify for every one each that I'm creating, this bill of material would apply. And I can go ahead and save this to that BOM. I can add the same item to other bill of materials if I have multiple BOMs for the same item that will be deducted at the same time, or I can edit or remove this BOM altogether. Additionally, you can add standard costs to your items. You can even have effective and end dates for these if you wanted to phase these out so that packages created between a certain date range will have one standard cost and packages of a different date range with no end date, for example, moving forward, will have this cost. At any point, you can remove or edit these costs, and these will save under the projected output cost of your inventory in the packages table. Next is the integrations tab, and you'll see options to associate the Dutchie product, LeafLink product, QuickBooks items, as well as Sage Intacct items from the integrations page. That means anytime you're using those integrations, this item will automatically pre-fill with the mapped item that you have here. If everything looks correct, you can go ahead and create this item, which will show up in the table and show you a successful message here in the top right. If any errors were there, you'll see a failure message in the top right, and you'll also see the status of any of your submissions under User Submissions All, which will show you a successful or failed error message related to that submission. If at any point you need to update your inventory items, you can go ahead and select the hyperlinked item name, and any updates that you make here will change the packages that are already created of this item, as well as any future items. So this updates both historical and future information. You can also delete this item, and if there were any packaged inventory already created, packages will still retain that item name. However, no new packaged items can be created with that item. A few things to see as you go throughout the table. All of these can have filters set or move them around, as well as add or remove different columns to see in your table. All of the columns for information that we set on those modals are available here in that table. And you can do actions in bulk by selecting one row, holding down your Shift key and selecting a row down below to select all rows in between. That will allow you to delete all items, assign a brand to all items, or take any other bulk actions that you have here. For more information on creating and editing items in bulk, watch our video on facility data uploaders, as well as view our Help Center for more information on managing facility data. If at any point you have any questions on managing your items in your facility, reach out to our support team at help@canix.com or go to our Help Center for more information on items.